6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Sandhi Thavam. The U.S. Under-Secretary for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs commits support to Sri Lanka's dairy modernization efforts. A new bill to seize properties gained from illegal means. The SLBC has earned 1,500 million rupees owing to the special bus service set in place for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year season. The Met Department warns that the heat index is expected to increase up to caution level at some places in the country today as well. The Foreign Employment Bureau has received 1,371 complaints concerning overseas employment scams within the first 4 months of this year. The central bank says economy witnessed gradual revival in 2023. In foreign news, Blinken says China helping fuel Russian threat to Ukraine. In sports, Bairstow century leads Punjab to record T20 run chase. The Under-Secretary for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Alexis Taylor, paid a courtesy call on President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday. During the discussions, the President was briefed on the ongoing dairy modernization program supported by the U.S. President Wickremesinghe welcomed the program, stating that it would complement the island-wide dairy expansion projects. Furthermore, the President outlined the government's agriculture modernization efforts, emphasizing the importance of attracting a greater level of youth involvement in the sector. The U.S. delegation expressed their support for these initiatives, pledging to provide necessary assistance. Accompanying the President were the Secretary to the President, Saman Ekanaika, and the Director of International Affairs, Jinuk Kolombage. The government has decided to bring in legislation soon to confiscate property acquired through illegal means. According to the Cabinet spokesman and Mass Media Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal submitted by President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa to draft the relevant bill. Speaking at the weekly Cabinet media briefing at the Government Information Department yesterday, the Minister said that the government is bound to bring in legislation for the recovery of assets acquired through illegal means by 2024, as per the agreement with the International Monetary Fund. Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa had appointed a committee comprising experts in the field last year to prepare a policy and legal framework and procedure required in relation to properties gained from illegal means. Based on the committee recommendations, the Cabinet granted approval to the legal draftsman to draft the relevant bill. The chairman of the Sri Lanka Transport Board, Lalit Dialvis, says the SLBC has earned 1,500 million rupees owing to the special bus service set in place for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. Since 5th April, the SLBC had deployed more than 200 additional buses to facilitate people who are returning to their hometowns for the festive period. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment says its Special Investigation Unit has received 1,371 complaints concerning overseas employment scams within the first 4 months of this year. Issuing a statement, the Bureau said the complaints include jobs being offered by institutions that are not registered with the Bureau, collection of money by unregistered employment agencies, and sending people overseas for employment under tourist visas. The Employment Bureau further said that 495 of the complaints have been resolved as at now, while investigation officers have been able to return about 53 million rupees to the affected persons. Steps have been taken to initiate legal action against fraudsters concerning another 680 complaints, the Bureau revealed. According to the Foreign Employment Bureau, 28 suspects have been arrested and produced in courts over job scams, while 8 institutions that had operated without valid documents have been raided. The Met Department warned that the heat index, the temperature felt on the human body, is expected to increase up to caution level at some places in the northern, north-central, western, Sabaragamuwa, eastern, southern and northwestern provinces and the Monoragla district today as well. The heat index forecast is calculated by using relative humidity and maximum temperature and this condition is felt on our body. This is not the forecast of the maximum temperature. It is generated by the Department of Meteorology for the next day period and prepared by using global numerical weather prediction and model data. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka, in its annual Economic Review 2023, reports said that the Sri Lankan economy witnessed a gradual revival in 2023 from the deepest economic downturn in its post-independence history. The report was presented to Finance Minister President Ranil Wickremesinghe by the Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe yesterday. The report said that decisive policy adjustments and structural reforms implemented by the government and the central bank have helped restore macroeconomic stability to a great extent. The CBSL report said that inflation was contained at a single-digit level by the end of 2023 from its highest level recorded in 2022, enabling the commencement of monetary policy normalization. That came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Education Minister Dr. Susil Premajanta said that the results of the rescrutiny of the GCE Ordinary Level 2022 will be released before the commencement of the Ordinary Level Examination 2023 this year. The GCE Ordinary Level Examination 2023 is scheduled to start at the second week of May countrywide, and that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines this morning, Blinken says China helping fuel Russian threat to Ukraine. Oil tanker damaged in Houthi missile strike. And King Charles to resume public duties after progress in cancer treatment. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has warned Washington will act if China does not stop supplying Russia with items used in its assault on Ukraine. Speaking to the BBC in Beijing, the U.S.'s top diplomat said he had made it clear to his counterparts that they were helping fuel the biggest threat to European security since the Cold War. He did not say what measures the U.S. was prepared to take, but Mr. Blinken was also keen to stress progress has been made in some areas. He praised Beijing for making efforts in stopping supplies of the drug fentanyl reaching the U.S. China remains the principal source of fentanyl for the U.S., which the White House has said is causing a public health crisis across the country. A crude oil tanker has been damaged in a missile attack off the coast of Yemen, the latest strike to be carried out by the Houthis. The incident happened roughly 15 nautical miles southwest of the Yemeni city of Mocha. British Maritime Security Agency UKMTO reported that the Panama flagship was struck twice and suffered damage. No injuries or deaths have been reported, and the incident is being investigated. According to the UKMTO, the first missile attack caused an explosion near to the ship and was felt by those aboard. The second, thought to involve two missiles, made contact. Global risk management firm Embrace said that 3 missiles had been sighted. It added that ballistic missiles had reportedly been fired from Yemen's southwestern Tiaz governorate. King Charles will resume public engagements next week. After making encouraging progress in his cancer treatment, Buckingham Palace has said it won't yet be a full return to official engagements for the king, but the palace is sending positive signals. The king will begin next Tuesday with a symbolic trip to a cancer treatment centre. His summer plans include a state visit where he will host the Emperor and Empress of Japan. In the coming weeks, the palace said he would undertake more external engagements. Back to the headlines of the world news. Blinken says China helping fuel Russian threat to Ukraine. Oil tanker damaged in Houthi missile strike. And King Charles to resume public duties after progress in cancer treatment. That concludes this bulletin of world news, and on to development news. The government has taken measures to award the management of the Mattala International Airport to private investors on a 30-year contract. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has granted its consent to the resolution in this regard, furnished by the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala de Silva. Cabinet spokesman and Mass Media Minister Dr. Bandalu Gunawardena said Cabinet approval had been granted to entrust Shaurya Aeronautics Private Limited of India and Airports of Regions Management Company of Russia or its affiliated company with the management of the Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport for 30 years, as per the recommendations of the negotiation committee appointed by the Cabinet of Ministers. That came to you in Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Johnny Bairstow's astonishing unbeaten 108 from 48 balls led Punjab Kings to its highest successful T20 run chase. The Kolkata Knight Riders posted 261 for 6, but the Kings reached their target with 8 balls to spare and 8 wickets remaining. The previous record was South Africa's chase of 259 against the West Indies last year. England's Bairstow was dropped for Punjab's previous 2 games and responded with a brutal display of striking that included 8 fours and 9 sixes. His 45-ball century was the quickest by an Englishman in the IPL, beating his own 52-ball effort from 2019. That's sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekathiana youth kat life ke change kat niyamet setna as wahagena dakpuina habe karana youth kat niyamet setna friendship betamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance says it has no intention of selling the business after the US passed a law to force it to sell the hugely popular video app or be banned in America. ByteDance doesn't have any plans to sell TikTok, the company posted on its official account on Twitter, a social media platform it owns. TikTok did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Earlier this week, TikTok said it would challenge in court the unconstitutional law. That's business news. Economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekathiana youth kat life ke change kat niyamet setna as wahagena dakpuina habe karana youth kat niyamet setna friendship betamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. Cabinet spokesman and Mass Media Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that the Cabinet and Ministers approved the proposal presented by the Education Minister to enter into a number of memoranda of understanding and agreements between Sri Lankan universities and foreign universities or agencies for the purpose of developing higher educational cooperation. He was speaking at the weekly Cabinet media briefing held yesterday at the Government Information Department. That's economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the western, Sabragama, central, northwestern, Uva and southern provinces after 2 p.m. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the north-central province during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and Sabragama provinces, also in the Gaul and Matara districts. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The U.S. Under-Secretary for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs commits support to Sri Lanka's dairy modernization efforts. A new bill to seize properties earned through illegal means. The SLBC has earned 1,500 million rupees owing to the special bus service set in place for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. The Met Department warned that the heat index is expected to increase up to caution level at some places in the country today as well. The Foreign Employment Bureau has received 1,371 complaints concerning overseas employment scams within the first 4 months of this year. The central bank says the economy witnessed a gradual revival in 2023. Blinken says China helping fuel Russian threat to Ukraine. And Bairstow century leads Punjab to record T20 run chase. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast, and now it's back to your host across the glass pane, Sinhala, to keep you well entertained and in good spirits this beautiful Saturday morning. A very good morning to you, Sinhala, and it's all yours to liven the airwaves of Radio Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much, Sandy, for bringing us the main news broadcast, and thank you very much for the wishes as well. Hope you have a great day, a great Saturday ahead as well. So, it's 7 o'clock on the dot, and you're with Radio Sri Lanka on 97.4, 97.6 FM island-wide, and also across the globe at www.slbc.lk as well. So, more music, more beautiful music coming your way on your favorite radio station, Radio Sri Lanka.